All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It on this U.S. Open week. This is Moose with Mays and Matthews coming to you live from some of us in Philadelphia, some of us in the Jupiter area. A lot of buzz down in the Jupiter area. We will
Yeah.
get to that, but we are sponsored by Draftkings Sportsbook. We will see the line for the U.S. Open. I've got a really good feeling on somebody here.
Do you?
Really good feeling. Yeah, and
Wow.
he's got a pretty juicy number on him too. So
Mm.
just a little teaser to keep the people listening. Uh, All access GTE, and we know there's some guys down at the U.S. Open. We'll talk about that. I've been talking to a lot of guys at their club, and they're like, "Yeah, Doug from the club books our trips." I'm like, "We got to talk about Doug from the
Yeah.
club and
Doug
his,
Doug
from
from
the
the
club.
club.
what he's capable of."
He
Let's step
can't.
it up,
He can't
guys.
handle Dan Dillon and the guys over at All Access GTE. I can tell you
No,
that.
you know what I mean? It's like when that guy, it's like it was fine. The Airbnb, we thought it was 20 minutes away. It was 40.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one bedroom was bunk bed. You know, like
Yeah.
you know what it's all about. And also our friends from Comcast Business, introducing ultimate speed for business, the fastest internet plans yet from Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Scotty Scheffler wins again.
Yeah.
Fifth and eighth start.
Surprise.
And obviously probably could have had a little more if there wasn't certain things happening in his life. Harry, starting with you, Memorial. I know you love this tournament, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
golf course and Jack, the whole nine. Like to me,
Yeah.
this is just a quintessential PGA Tour event. That's not a major. It's in the it's in the top.
It could be a
echelon.
major though.
Could be,
Yeah.
yeah. So what did you think about the week?
Well, I thought it was just brutal. I mean, just so tough. Only 11 players broke par. Scheffler was amazing. You had a little bit of drama on Sunday between he and Colin Morikawa, which I thought was pretty cool. But man, the place just played so hard. Those par fives, and there's four of them, they were anything but birdie holes. I mean, these guys go into these tournaments thinking, okay, how many par fives do I have? All right, well, there's 4 under right there. I mean, that's the way they typically look at these weeks on the PGA Tour. Take advantage of the par fives, make a couple more birdies, and try to hold it together. And that's what Xander Schauffele did on day one. He made 4 birdies, all on the par fives, and made pars everywhere else, and was quoted afterwards as saying he didn't really hit it all that good. And you're like, that's the way you play that golf course. Guys were making bogeys and double bogeys on some of those par fives. So it was brutal. The greens were firm and fast, and they had a lot of wind. You give these guys hard greens and wind, and they struggle. They just hit the green, and then they're in 4-inch rough. And you're like, now how do I get out of this rough where I can hold the green? And it was that kind of battle all weekend long. It was major-esque. I thought it was a great test, to sort of get these guys prepared for what they're going to face this week. But man, you had Morikawa, he missed the green on the 14th and 15th on the final day, and got it to within 6 feet on 15, but missed a birdie putt. That was like his last chance to really make a charge. And then he makes a bogey on 16, and the tournament was really over. Scheffler made a bogey on 17, but then hit big putts. He had big putts on 16 and 18 to close it out. And how about the emotion that he showed when he sunk that putt on the 18th hole, man? Like, I like seeing that out of this guy. A little bit more emotion, and it shows how much he wants it. That was his first win on the PGA Tour after the month of April. Think about that. He's got 11 wins total, and that's the first time he's won past April.
That's
for
wild.
what it's worth. Yeah, but a great week. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Danielle, did you see where they said in 2021 where he missed that 6-footer there to go to a playoff? And Jack told him, one day you'll make it, and I'll be here to shake your hand. And He said it. He literally thought that when he was going up there. Pretty cool cool story. And I think that added to the emotion of him with that fist pump.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And like Harry said, it was cool to see because we don't really see so much emotion. He's such like a nonchalant guy, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know, if I was winning like he was, I'd probably have a little more celebratory in my actions. But pardon me, pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, and he's over $24 million already this year, Harry.
Yeah,
and it's June, and like you said before, this is new territory for him, winning getting into the summer, and as we go into the next major and some other huge events coming up.
I think he's the first player ever that has 5 wins before the U.S. Open. Jack never did that, and Tiger never did that. Yeah, so think about that. He's just getting started, man. I'll tell you.
It's wild. I mean, it's not even surprising. Like looking at the scoreboard, I'm just like, okay, like, do we want something different? I don't know. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah, I mean, looking ahead when we'll get there when we see the line, but he's at
mhm.
280 for a
Plus
major,
280.
right?
Yeah.
Like you haven't
Yeah.
seen that probably since Tiger. I don't know the
Yeah,
stat,
DraftKings
but
has them like 13,000. It's like, I mean,
13,000 for fantasy too. Yeah.
yes.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
in,
there
guys.
were a
I'm in
couple.
early. Are you
Oh,
in
you're
fast?
in?
I was in yesterday.
I'm in. Yeah. And I
Okay.
found a way to get Scotty in there too.
I
Me
did
too.
too.
I
I
cobbled
worked
around
I
him.
worked it around Scotty.
I'm just like, I'm sick of just avoiding him and trying to, get A- players or B+ players and win that way. Just put him in there and
Just
figure it
throw
out.
him in. And then your last player is gonna be at like
Yeah, he's made
$5.5 grand. You're like, figure it out.
$5,400.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, last player is me.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a couple polls that I know of that excluded him this week.
Really?
Because like a lot of them are categories like pick one from this, pick two from this, and you could
They're
like
they
it's
don't want to
just too high.
lose
Yeah.
millions of
You
dollars.
couldn't do it, so they pulled them out. The other, there were a couple guys, only 6 broke par, right? So like someone could have gone on a run,
Yeah,
but that
say
golf
that
course
again. Only
prevented them.
6 broke
Only 6, right?
par. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. And the emotional win, the baby that we've heard about for months. We see the baby, Bennett, Meredith's there, Jack and
yeah.
Barbara. I mean, it's just quintessential golf celebration out there.
Oh yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Now, does he
See,
get the
if
great
the
jacket?
baby can go to the memorial, why can't my baby come to the swinging and Vegas
Exactly.
outing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
don't get it.
So
Yeah.
hey, if she's born this week, maybe she gets up there.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see her there. And you had, Adam Hadwin was making a bit. I mean, he was hanging in there, but he closes with 3 straight bogeys.
He had no chance.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, come on.
I mean, it was Colin. It was Colin or no one, right?
That just goes to
Right.
show you, though, coming down the stretch, like who's been in that position before, who knows how to control those emotions, like,
It's funny because Colin Morikawa posted on Instagram the next day his chip. He's like, something like, I still don't understand how this didn't go right. And you see it, like he has it lined up. You can even see the green kind of slanting that way, and he chips it out, and the ball's running, and it just stays dead
Nope.
straight.
On 16? The one
Yeah,
on 16 or
yeah.
18?
The one where he chipped, it was his back was to the camera, chipped downhill.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was
I forget
16.
which one that was,
Yeah.
but he's like, I still don't understand. I still don't understand how this didn't go right. It's like haunting him.
Hashtag I hate golf.
He's been hanging around, Harry. He's been
he has.
He's been in the mix.
Yeah, he really has.
He's been playing some good golf. It looks like, he's close. I know some people like him this week, and his numbers.
He'll be a popular
decent
pick this week.
Oh yeah, yeah, very
especially
popular.
in one and dones.
Yeah, so you have Scheffler, Morikawa 2, Hadwin 3. How about Bezuidenhout?
Yeah, he had a good week. But wasn't it amazing though? Like, Rory McIlroy and Hovland, the weekends that they had. Rory shot 73, 76. Hovland 77, 75. I mean, not the kind of weekend you want to have heading into the U.S. Open.
No.
Someone who is trending is Fitzpatrick, right? Fitzpatrick, Oberg, Straka, all those guys. They all sit in T5. Sungjae is rounding out his game, gets a T8. Xander Schauffele is a top 10 like every week. He's a top 5 in every major. We know that. And Finau's another guy, right? Like he's somebody you have to look at as a top 10 player. Like it drives me crazy. I love Finau. I love the family. I love the posts, but it's like I want that guy to be a killer so bad, and I don't think he wants to be a killer.
No, it's just not in his personality. But how great is Ludwig Oberg to watch?
Yeah.
I mean, when he and Scotty, I think, were paired together on one of the days, and I'm just watching it. And this guy, he takes no time over the ball. He just steps right up. He decides what he's going to do, what he's going to hit, and just gets up and whacks it. And his game, he's got all the facets of a great golf game. I mean, that guy's he's going to knock down a bunch of majors.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't mind his number this week either. He's at 2,000 sitting right there with Bryson. Actually, we'll talk about it later, but I like that. I actually like that matchup with those two guys. I'm excited. I'm excited about the U.S. Open, as if you can't tell. I keep jumping ahead, but
it's hard not to. Yeah, we all want to.
I've got my visor on. I don't know if you can see it with the lighting, but this is from 2005 down at Pinehurts number 2. I was there, and Michael Campbell went on to win it. Tiger Woods finished runner-up and finished last of the guys that made the cut in putting for the week. Think about that. He finished last in putting and finished runner-up, like a shot out of the a playoff. to Michael Campbell, who was virtually an unknown kind of player from New Zealand on the tour. There was the only PGA Tour win, and I was down there for one of the days. It was an awesome place, and it's even better now because they have the renovation happened years later. 2011, they redid this place, and it's just spectacular.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. And we're going to preview. Jason Sobel will be joining us shortly to give us some help in taking a look at this and seeing the line and seeing what's going to happen. But do we want to go with some tea? I think it's time for tea. We haven't had it.
We haven't had tea in a while.
Yeah, we've been missing it. Yeah, we need some tea. Let's go down to Jupiter, Florida, where most tea starts.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the tea. What was it, last week, the week before, where we saw that on Mother's Day, Rory had the day after filed for divorce from his wife, Erica. Well, it just came out that Rory and Erica called off their divorce.
Just kidding.
Just trying to make, maybe is it about that PIP? I just thought about that. Maybe he's just trying to increase his rankings, but I did. Hey, let's just plan a faux divorce and, just get some extra time here and get some more hits than Scotty so we can get higher rankings in the PIP. But prior to finding out that they were retracting the documents and they were calling off the divorce, I did, talk to a couple people down here in the area. And it's funny because a lot of the rumors that we saw, we saw that Rory was, out in California a couple days early. He was picking up, Starbucks or from a restaurant for, Amanda and this and that. Everyone's like, Rory wasn't even out there. It was all fake. It was just, and it's funny because
trust nothing, Harry. Trust nothing.
Yeah. And I thought this gossip, I'm like, I know girls gossip and stuff, but it's funny because a lot of these rumors were coming from men. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's some people within the industry that were spreading some rumors too, but divorce called off. I don't know. Maybe it's Pip. Maybe it's because, Erica saw Rory won again. Who knows? But they're saying it's for the health of their family, their child. They think that it's best if they move forward together. So we will see. There's no Rory and Amanda. Maybe there's no Rory and Amanda going to live like was rumored.
How about that? That was
how
a wild.
funny is it, right? That these rumors just get started. But yeah, so that's the tea on the Rory and Erica calling off their divorce. Not so much tea, but some news. Nelly Korda officially has clinched her U.S. Solheim Cup spot 10 weeks before qualifying ends. So she's in there. I know, Harry, you probably have been watching and watching the girls and seeing who's qualifying. And Nelly has officially clinched her spot.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have already happened by now.
Yeah.
All the wins that she's one of the hottest players in the world.
I actually had to go through and read the qualifications and how you can qualify and what that's listed under, because I had the same stance as you. I was like, wait, I just assumed she had a spot. And if not, captain's pick for sure. But with the rankings, number one female in the world, why would you not have that spot? Yeah. But she's now officially official. We know that Jon Rahm is out because of a foot infection. He had an injection last week in Houston for the live event, and he had a withdrawal after 6 holes. He was wearing a flip-flop. I don't know if you guys saw that.
It's just so wild to me. He shows up, does the press conference with the how do you think you're going to be able to play in a major and you can't even put a shoe on for a press conference? What the heck is going on?
It doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, what kind of foot infection? He's like, there's a red dot in between my pinky toe and my other toe or something like that.
A scorpion out in Arizona or something?
I'm like, what are you doing? I don't understand. Something got in your sock or a spider, or I'm not sure, but he's saying it's an infection. We saw all over Twitter the flip-flop. He mentioned the flip-flop. Part of me that he couldn't even put a shoe on. Right. So he is out. But you know what? I saw him when I was looking at my DraftKings lineup, and there's something that still irks me about him. I feel like he's just, they asked him, they said, how are you feeling? And, how's your career and this and that? Cause they're just trying to pull out of him. Yes, I missed the PGA Tour, whatever. And he's like, I didn't write it down, but he basically said, you guys aren't going to get the quote out of me to headline, Jon Rahm is miserable. He's like, just keep it moving on.
We don't need him to say something. We know it.
We look at the face. Exactly. He's Molly miserable all the time. He just
that's the second flip-flop for Jon Rahm now. That makes the pair of flip-flops because he flip-flopped on live. His stance on live is a total flip-flop.
Back and forth. Guys, Tiger has a new swing coach, or we can just say maybe player support. A
Love it.
15-time major winner is seeking guidance from his 15-year-old son. So I guess we
No
can
one
say
will give
like
you more honesty than your children. I can tell you that for
Yeah, right. You
firsthand
can speak
knowledge.
to that.
Wait, what was that? Your daughter's like your wife's
Yeah.
recording? Like, what'd you
You
think of
stink,
that swing?
Dad.
Can we
Back
go
to the
back to the
pool.
pool?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm good. Like I'm fine. But yeah, I guess the student has become the teacher, if you will. So Tiger was quoted saying, I trust him with my swing and my game. He's seen it more than anyone else in the world. He's seen me hit more golf balls than anyone. And I tell him what to look for, especially with putting. So I'm like, okay, like you can say that and we can all like hear that
Yeah.
and everything else, but is he actually giving you advice and feedback, or is he just you wanted him inside the ropes to hang with you?
Yeah. Doing
Tiger,
walking the practice round with all those guys this week. I mean, that's a big week
him
for
and JT
Charlie.
and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but Tiger did go on to say this, and Moose, maybe you can relate to this too. He goes, the one thing that just irks me though, he's like, he's just constantly like looking down at his phone, and that's all I ever see. He's like, put your phone down, look around, like look where you're at, like take
Right.
this in. So that's where I thought maybe Tiger was like, hey, like I'm trying to bring him out here and be like,
Right.
you're at the US Open with your dad.
Right.
Put down your phone. Like look around and see what's happening. And maybe if he did look around, he would see all of the plants that are at Pinehurst. Smiley Kaufman shared the hilariously long list of plants on X and said, he's like, what do you want me to say? Like, hey, his ball is near the, plant A.
Wiregrass. Wiregrass.
Did you
Yeah.
guys see this list? There's probably 100 plants on there or so.
No, I did not see that.
The moment I saw the list, I thought of you, Hara. I was like, okay, this is hilarious because I know in some tournaments, that they're mentioning, subject X a lot of times, but I feel like on the European tour, they're always talking about like the wildlife and the plants and everything else. And when Smiley put this out, he's like, look what they gave us. Like, let's talk about golf. Who cares about, it's not Masters. We don't need to talk about Azalea. It's like,
well, we're going to hear a lot of native area. You'll hear that a lot this week.
Wiregrass.
Yeah,
right?
Wiregrass and native area.
Yeah. But if you guys go on there and take a look at that,
I got to check that out.
He kind of formulated a tweet that was like, mentioning 3 or 4 and trying to incorporate it. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, I think that kind of ends the tea right there. Not too much.
How about, it was striking to me. We love
What's
Johnson
that?
Wagner on this podcast.
Oh,
right?
he's great.
We're trying to get him on. And he did 2 walk and talks yesterday that I saw, one with Cam Smith, right? And one with Bryson. And you think about like 6 months to a year ago, it's almost like the Golf Channel and others would act like the live guys just didn't exist.
Right.
So I don't know if that was him pushing to go with those guys, or maybe they're just saying like, hey, maybe they need to kind of soften things out a little bit. But it was pretty telling to see him, walking around on a major with those guys back to back. Right.
Yeah, what was very cool. I'm getting the feeling, they had that meeting in New York and Rory, patched in via like Zoom or something. And I think there's a lot of positives came out of that. I think they're getting close.
I think so too.
I'm just a fan of the mustache.
Oh, Johnson.
Yeah. It's tremendous.
That's a caterpillar.
It's so hilarious. Like every time I watch, like I'm like, but he, he tries to still remain serious. It's good. It fits him.
We've got to get him on.
Sure.
Harry, let's talk about the golf game, right? We've been doing some updates. I have a big week this week. I have the Green Valley member guests.
Oh, wow.
You guys have so many member guests. It's like member guest season up north.
It is. It's
everything's shut down here.
The big one at Legacy Club is late. It's in September, but luckily it gives me some time. But this is the one I look forward to every year. Obviously, Greenie and I get out there, try to do something this year. Harry set that as one of my goals. As to, I wish I would have been able to practice a little bit more this week. I've been tied up, unfortunately, but really looking forward to getting out there, doing a practice round Thursday, and I'm actually staying out at the Union League. Lafayette Hill. Yeah. Talk to Sean Palmer because I have to be out there for a couple of days. So I'm curious to see what that's like staying out there. When you stay there, you kind of have privileges as a member. Like you could go to restaurants, do
use
all
the
that
practice
stuff.
Facilities. Yeah.
I wonder if that means I can get one of those lessons that they offer to members. It's part of the plan. Emergency. I was looking for emergency lessons today. I'm like, John DeMarco, are you available?
Yeah. Well, Chris Hansen's back from Florida.
Is he?
Oh.
Yeah. You might be able to slide one
Wow.
It
your
probably
way.
makes sense because literally, like, our clubs, I think we reopen on Friday, but,
Yeah.
like, this past week, I was like, "Let's go play 9." He's like, "It's closed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm
It's
sure
95 degrees outside." Like,
Coop would let him over to Green Valley to do the teaching, in the facilities. I
Oh, yeah.
guarantee you that.
Yeah.
there we go.
BYOC. Bring your
Right,
own
there you
Bring
coach.
your
I
own
like that.
coach. Hey,
you
How about
go.
you, Howard? What's going on with the
Yeah,
game?
I'm gonna
Well,
interject first
Go.
because best short game session of season today.
Yeah.
So that was a text that Brandon and I got from Harry. So I'll lead in with that and let
Yeah.
Harry finish it up. Let's hear
That was
about
not
it.
intended for you guys too.
Oh,
That
but
was
we
that was
liked it.
that
We
was
liked it.
intended for Chris Hansen and John Cooper, but I had texted you guys previously and I just sent it and fired it. I'm like, oh shoot, they don't care about that. Why did I send that? But
No, but you know what? It's funny because he does, because Brandon's like, well, like, and, we can need to get up there and I can look at Harry's short game and whatever. So like,
well, yeah, let's
he
do that.
loves it. So continue sending it. Yeah.
Well, what happened was a lot of my problems, and I got many, with short game and chipping is deciding on what shot to hit with what club. And I watch too much golf where I think that I can hit like a 58-degree wedge from, 15 feet off the green and put it to within, 15 feet to give me a chance to make a putt. It's too much loft. So what I decided to do was to settle on a club where I could take the club question off the table and decide on just one shot, hit one shot and just take the club back further for each one if I need more distance, let's say. But I've decided from tight lies, I'm going with the 54 degree. That's it. That's as high as I will go. So it's taken a little guesswork out, as far as what shot to hit. The other thing
Clears the mind.
was,
Yeah.
the other thing
No
though is
thinking about it. You already know.
if I'm really close to the green but don't want to putt it, I'm going to use my 5 hybrid and bump it with the hybrid just to
That's
get
one
it.
of the most annoying things for me is deciding. I'm like, I want to chip it almost every time. Brandon's like, you putt this.
Yeah,
And he's
well,
like,
right.
especially with your short game, putt this. And I'm like, I want to chip it. Like, and that's always in my head.
You're
But
going to
you
see a
might-
lot of that this week at Pinehurts.
You're going to see a
too,
lot
right?
of that
Yeah.
this week. Exactly right. And that's one of the
Yeah.
things I'm looking forward to, because if you're into the grain, the putting is really tough, right? Or if you have a sprinkler head or two in the way, right by the green, they're always sitting right there. That hybrid works really nice because it kind of gets the ball a little bit in the air,
Mhm.
and you just got to work on, the little bit of the technique and how, because hit it, you don't want to hit it
Yeah, you can
necessarily
whack
off
it,
the
right.
center of the face because it'll explode off the face. You got to hit it near the toe, and it takes a little bit of the oomph out of it. So I've been working on stuff like that.
Yeah, decisions, right? That's for me
Yeah.
this week too, right? Like I'm a higher handicap player who's going to get stroke. So
Right.
there's times where let's say you're 5 feet off the green and the pin is maybe 10 feet, off of where you are, but there's plenty of green behind you. It's like, no, I'm not going to try to pop one up in
Right.
front of it. Like, just get it on the green, get your 2-putt, get your stroke, and
Right.
win the hole, right? Like that decision making process. Sometimes you get like caught up in the moment, and like I can make this shot. It's like, no, you can't.
No, you
Like, no, I can't. I
Well,
can't.
you might be able to
right, once in one, right?
you
Exactly.
can, but
Yeah.
it's like you get one chance.
Yeah,
So.
but it is hard. Like I respect the fact that you're practicing that, because sometimes I think about that. It's a good idea. It's like I haven't done that in a year. Like I have no idea how this is going to come off the club. Like that's something you have to kind of practice to know, how it's going to come off, how far you have to take it back, like what the
Right.
That's the
speed
thing,
is.
practice. That's
Yeah.
the number one feedback that I hear all the time is Brandon's always like, you don't practice enough to get frustrated. You have no right. He's like, absolutely no right. I was like, touche.
That's right. So we'll recap it for next week. Our outing is completely sold out. There are some people that did not sign up in time, which we told them to a million times.
Oh yeah.
That
I was getting
Shane
a text
Dolan.
too.
Yeah.
People
Shane
are like, let
Dolan,
me
I'm
in, let
talking
me
to
in.
you.
And I'm like, you guys had how long?
Yeah.
I know. I was warning them because I saw
Yeah.
it. I saw the numbers, and I'm like, oh man, this is, I don't want to put that burden on the club, or they have to order more golf carts, or we're there for 6 hours, or
Right. Yeah.
so. But as you can see over this shoulder, there's the championship
The
belt
belt.
for the long drive winner. So I think that that got some people excited. Our DraftKings
Yeah, that
contest,
thing's
we
sweet.
have some more spots left in there. A couple, one and done. I went with Cam Smith. That's the guy I was talking about. Short game
Wow.
guy. It's good. You're going to need a
Mhm.
creative short game this week.
He's
And
in
I
my
just-
fantasy team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what he's about this week.
Yeah, but that long drive, the belt, Russ Hartung is in the tournament. Okay, the defending champ, right?
That this got him in the tournament. He had not.
win it?
He did win it last year.
Yeah, he won it.
He had
He
not
won a
signed
couple
up
of
yet.
things.
And then when I
Right.
posted this,
He was like,
he was
"Hey."
like, "Hey."
Well,
I called him out. I said, "The defending champ is not coming back." You know.
Well,
Well,
I think he was low key waiting for me to just be like, "Hey, like our squad's back," and I'm like, "Russ." like,
well, I heard
I
he
can't play
shot
this year.
65 from the back tees at Doylestown last week.
Mm.
So his
Jeez.
game is on point.
Uh-oh. And he got it. He cleaned up last year. He got a suit. He was like,
Yeah,
you know, yeah, that was the greatest
Yeah, how was he
invite
not the
said
first
ever
person to
got.
sign up this year?
Right. Well,
Right,
Are you
right.
I
kidding
was
me?
like, wait, how did Harry not steal him? Like my team, like couldn't come. I get maybe overlooking, Gabby or Mr. Matthews, but I was like, Harry didn't scoop up Ross Hartog. What's happening here?
I was asleep at the wheel, but he got engaged too recently.
He
So
did,
big year for
yes.
Russ Hartong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's
Yep.
see if he can,
Yeah. Looking forward to
defend
it.
and take home that belt.
We have a lot going on with this tournament, a lot. So just trying to figure it all out. We talked a little bit about all access. Again, we hear about this a lot. The guy from your club helps plan your trip. Let that guy from your club call all access and just handle
Guy from
things
the
the right
club.
way, right?
Right.
Go to the portal in our Instagram bio. Check them out. These guys have all the experience in the world. They know what they're doing. They know where to send you. They know how to plan it, plot it out to make it the perfect trip. Trust us. Go talk to these guys. Unlock the golf experiences you've always dreamed of with all access. Just head right to our Instagram bio and check out some special pricing.
I was on a call with Dan Dillon this week, who's the director of sales over there, about our trip to Scottsdale in December.
Yeah.
So that they're going to be assisting on that trip for
good.
me and the wife. So yeah,
Good.
Looking forward to it.
Beautiful. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to preview the U.S. Open. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. As promised, we are joined by Jason Sobel, return guest. Jason, I looked. May 2020 was the first time you jumped on with us, and we're approaching episode 200. So we appreciate you always being there for us, man. Thank you.
Of course. Great to be on with you guys again.
And then we're talking to Michael Collins, but he's big time. He was on Party Take this morning. We have to negotiate. I told him we're going to talk Eagles most of the time anyway. I thought that would entice him, but you know how it goes.
Yeah, that should get him going, really.
So you are on location. You've been there. Talk to us about the scene down there. What's going on? What you're hearing? What you're seeing? The course. Give us the scoop.
Yeah, this is such a cool golf course. I mean, not like we haven't seen Pinehurts before. I covered this event back in both 05 and 14, and you're going to see a lot of what we saw back then, which I think harkens back to like an older U.S. Open. Over the last decade, what we've seen at the U.S. Open is essentially the big boys have an advantage. If you're a Bryson DeChambeau, if you're a Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Gary Woodland, even Wyndham Clark last year, the trend over the last decade has been the big dudes who are big enough to muscle it out of the rough are going to have a distinct advantage at the U.S. Open. I think this year that changes because there really is no rough out here. There's vegetation, there's plant life on the other side of each fairway, but the fairways are massive. I don't see a whole lot of players missing fairway very often, quite honestly. Victor Hovland said yesterday because most guys are going to take an aggressive approach off the tee and a conservative approach into the greens, and that's what it's all about. On this golf course, it's all about the approach into the greens, trying to hit the middle of the green, two putting for par, and getting out of there and getting to the next hole because these runoff areas outside of the greens are they're pretty devilish, and these players are trying to figure out. Martin Keimer won this event 10 years ago by 8 here at Pinehurst, where he used putter everywhere. Some guys are like, well, I might putt some, might use a wedge, might use a 4-iron, might use a fairway metal. I think it's going to be really fun to see the variety and see the different options that players have out here. But this is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be different from some of the U.S. Opens we've seen, like I said, over the past decade.
Now, I saw you put out on X that you asked Justin Ray Goff for his favorite current Scotty Scheffler stat. And he said that Scotty leads the PGA Tour in bogey percentages, 5.1% from the fairway. Talk about that and talk about how that's going to affect Scotty this week and if you think it will affect him at all.
Yeah, so I had Jay Ray on the show yesterday, and he gave us that one. So I said, I'm going to steal it and throw it on Twitter before you do it. And it's easy enough. Someone should tell Scotty Scheffler, like, hey, you almost never bogey when you're in the fairway. Why don't you just hit it in the fairway every time, and then you'll never make bogey? It seems pretty easy to me. Look, I have had this event targeted for a Scotty Scheffler play for months now, for 5-6 months. And that's before even the great run that he's gotten on. And obviously coming in now with as good of form as we've seen from any professional golfer since Tiger Woods in his prime. I have no doubt that Scotty Scheffler is going to be in the mix, and I have a feeling he might be holding another trophy at the end of the week. Playing that well. I'm not sure there's a golf course that really suits his game better than this one, where you can just ball strike it to the middle of the greens. His iron play is so far above everybody else's right now. That's going to be huge. And quite honestly, he does not get the credit for having a short game that is as good as anybody out there, if not better, because, we look at guys like Jordan Spieth and Cameron Smith, and we say, boy, they have really good short games. Scotty's probably better right now. I know he's been criticized for quote unquote boring golf. And my answer to that is he's a boring player. It's a boring game. If you do it the right way, you hit it in the fairway, you hit it on the greens, you make putts. Like any other sport, I was saying this on my show yesterday. You want to win football games, you have to score more than the other team. You want to win baseball games, you have to score more runs than the other team. You want to win in golf, you have to play less than everybody else. You have to hit the ball fewer times than everybody else. So yeah, just by the nature of it, it can be a little boring. Is Scotty too vanilla, too boring? I don't know, but I feel like a lot of it matches up on a golf course where you have to play boring golf. He's a quote-unquote boring golfer. There's a lot of parallels that are going to help Scotty this week.
Yeah, boring golf wins U.S. Opens, and I found a way to cobble around his $13,000 salary on DraftKings this week with a lineup. I'm finally just decided I'm putting him in there, and I'll work it out. But you brought up Martin Keimer. Back in 2014, he started out 65-65 in that tournament and just ran away from everybody using putter from off the green. But only 4 players, I believe, in the 3 U.S. Opens that they've had at number 2 have broken par. You had Payne Stewart was 1 under to win. Michael Campbell was even and won it in 05. What kind of score to par do you anticipate this week, given how good Scotty Scheffler is?
I was asked for my over-under for the total winning score by a noted golf odds maker the other day, and I put it at 274.5. So par is 70 this week, so 280 would be an even par score. I'm looking at somewhere in the 5.5 under par. Doesn't mean a whole bunch of guys are going to be under par. I just feel like, and again, it's the Scotty Scheffler conundrum that sort of he's the outlier, and he sort of is going to move those lines in any direction. I just think that Scotty's playing so good right now that I think it could be that. I also think that Tiger Woods made a great point in his press conference yesterday, saying that this could be one of those U.S. Opens where the leading score after day one is lower or equal to the leading score at the end of the week on Sunday. I expect it to get really, really difficult come this weekend. So as this starts to bake out, it's 85, 90 degrees today. It's going to be throughout the entire week. We're not expecting really any or much rain whatsoever. And so as long as we cut off the water supply for the USGA, don't let them water down these greens, I think we're going to have a very, very fast, firm golf course by the time we get to this weekend.
Awesome. And listen, we know you're back to back to back, and we want to be respectful of your time, but just curious, one last thing down the board a little bit, right? It's top heavy. It's the U.S. Open. We know it's usually cream of the crop, and you like Scotty. Is there anyone down that board a little bit that's standing out to you that might have a chance of making some moves?
So again, it comes down to what you're looking to bet on it. And I mentioned this to everybody. So if I'm looking for another outright play, if I said, okay, I've got Scotty and I just want someone else further down the board. Look, I don't love Jordan Spieth's game right now. I think he's injured a little more than he's letting on. The consistency hasn't been there, but he's gained speed off the tee. We know his short game is really good. When I see 66-1 as a number next to his name, I'm like, okay, I can take him outright, because remember, with an outright play, you finish second place, it's a losing ticket. And so I want to play that upside for an outright play. And I think Jordan Spieth at least has that kind of upside. Whereas other players at the same number, they might have a higher floor, lower. Now, if you're looking for J.M., Sepp Straka, JT Poston, Cameron Smith. I mean, those are all guys that I think sort of fit the U.S. Open bill, that they aren't guys who are necessarily coming out of nowhere, but you can still get decent numbers on them for those finishing position market bets. And I think that those guys make a whole lot of sense.
Awesome, man. Thank you for hopping on. We'll get you off to your next one. We'll be watching. We'll be listening. Always appreciate you hopping on with us, and we'll get you back on soon.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
Jason.
you.
Thank you, Jason.
Good
Love
stuff.
hitting the green with Sobel and the caddy on
That's right.
PGA Tour radio, man. I listen to that quite often.
So some of the
Got-
stats from our go ahead, Danielle. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Like I told you, my brain's not functioning lately, but on the tee, there's sometimes like, I'm hearing stuff in conversation and then I forget to like make a note of it for the pod. But he mentioned Jordan Spieth, and I'm going to
Yeah.
say, stay away. I was with some people over the week and somebody got a text and they said, Jordan Spieth, the wrist is so bad. Like it could possibly be career ending. Another
What?
surgery may be on the horizon. Like Jordan Spieth
wow.
and his wrist is not great. So
Mm.
if I'm helping out at all, maybe not to go against what Jason's saying, but I heard something that maybe stay away from Spieth this week.
Well, that could explain that high value number.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
I'm
wrist
very
injuries, it's tough.
Oh, yeah.
You have a back injury or this or that, but a wrist, it's just,
Yep.
only
Well,
so much you can do for that. So I would advise against Jordan Spieth.
no doubt. Well, the story will be Pinehurst number 2, right? 156 players, the cut top 60 plus ties. The course, of course, with Harry Mays. Talk to us about this place, Harry, and the changes that have been made.
Yeah, Pinehurst number 2, a Donald Ross special, playing as a par 70 this week, close to 7,600 yards, 75.88, I believe it is. But Core and Crenshaw came in 2011, I believe, and restored this back to its original, look. This rustic, setting where it looks a little bit like Pine Valley. There's a lot of sand, the wiregrass they brought in, and all kinds of the different plants that Smiley Kaufman was tweeting about. So it just has just a really beautiful, like rough, rustic look. And 2 par 5s this week, the 5th and the 10th. The 10th is playing well over 600 yards, 617, I believe. It'll max out at 4 par 3s, 6, 9, 15, and 17. 17 has figured into much drama in the previous U.S. Opens. There have been 3 of them. And the 6th hole will play up to 242 yards from the tee. Now, there are 4 par 4s that are over 500 yards. The 2nd, the 4th, the 8th, and the 16th. But they keep saying that this place will not play as long as the yardage because of how firm and fast it is. And as Jason Sobel mentioned, the landing areas are really wide for a PGA Tour event and a U.S. Open. They're wide fairways for the landing areas. The challenge is hitting that next shot and getting it to hold the green, because the landing areas to hold the green are like, it's like hitting it to the hood of your car. It's no joke. The 14th hole is a par 4, 473. You got to favor the right side of the fairway, avoid the deep fairway bunker down the left, and the set of 4 traps on the right. The approach, missed long or right, will be really tough to get up and down. It's one of those crowned turtleback greens. You're going to hear a lot of that this week, because they're all like this upside down cereal bowls, upside down pie plates. There's many different ways to describe these things. The 15th hole is a par 3, 202 yards, long and difficult, with a real pronounced crown green. It's narrow, with a favor played to the front of the green, and it's really tough above the hole. That's another thing that's indicative of Donald Ross courses. If you miss above the hole, forget it. Good luck. Good luck getting your putt to stop. I was watching a video today. I forget who posted it on Instagram, but they dropped a ball on one of the greens right by the where the pin was for a practice round. It stopped, and it just started to roll and rolled completely off the green into a native area, like 30 yards away. I mean, this does not look like a fun place for Moose or I to go play. But,
Was that the 5th green, Harry?
I think it was the 5th. Yeah. And Johnson Wagner was on there too the other night for the Golf Channel and talking about how crazy it is. And that's one of the par 5s. So that'll be a really interesting hole to watch. The 16th hole is a par 4. Plays as a par 5 for the resort. If you go there, it's 528 yards, one of the toughest holes on the course for previous Opens. The ideal tee shot is right to left, followed by a left to right approach to the center of the green. Got bunkers everywhere. The 17th hole, par 3, 205. Pivotal hole in previous Opens, like I mentioned. Payne Stewart and Michael Campbell each made final round birdies to either take the lead or seal the win. Payne Stewart sealed it over Phil Mickelson with a birdie on 17. Right side hole locations are the most difficult on that hole. And the 18th hole, iconic as you come up the hill to the clubhouse, par 4, 451 yards, a narrow fairway for Pinehurst. purposes. Native areas on either side. Avoid the long, deep fairway bunker down the right. Also stay clear of the greenside bunker, short right. Payne Stewart, hit it off the fairway in the final round back in 99, had to pitch out and then get it on the green, and it made a 15 to 18 foot putt to seal the win for par. So I'm really looking forward to this. I love the look of this type of golf course with all the sand and the wiregrass and everything. I just think it looks really beautiful. Burned out, baked out. Awesome.
It's going to make for some really good golf. What was it? Wyndham Clark dropped his borderline quote about the course and the condition, and everybody else saying greens are scary. They're firm, fast. I mean, this could possibly be one of the hardest second shot golf courses that they play this year. I'm pretty excited to see some really good golf. But if we have a moment, I will just bring up Smiley's tweet real quick. Yeah. How's that lie down there, SK? Well, it's sitting near some Chinese forget-me-not, but I'd say more of the ball is on the Mexican clover. In his backswing, he may have some false foxglove to worry about, but the big concern is a follow-through in the morning glory. The list has 95 plants on it. God. It's hilarious. Oh, wow. Smiley's funny. I enjoy him.
He is funny.
He's such a great addition.
Is. Yeah, he's great.
Well, we talk about it, a top player, and make sure you're following at the Fantasy Grind. Our friend Jeff Ulrich. 7 of 10 winners had a win on the season, current season. 11 of the 13 had at least 4 top 10s on the season. So not just a kind of one and done kind of guy. And 4 of the last 5 winners placed inside the top 10 at the PGA Championship. As we're shifting over to seeing the line with our friends at DraftKings, if you're going to be watching any of this week's tournament, we know you are. Here's a better pro tip than you'll get from any caddy. Check out Draftkings Sportsbook, an official betting operator of the PGA Tour, and get in on all the action. From the first tee shot through the final putt, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. New to DraftKings? Listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5 and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DING, that's code DING, D-I-N-G, for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Harry, who are we taking here?
Well, I mentioned right now I'm on Brooks Koepka for my one and done. I like him the harder the golf course is because he's just, it's not going to get in his head. You heard what Danielle said about Wyndham Clark talking about the golf course. It sounds like the golf course is already in Wyndham Clark's head. So it's like you avoid a guy like that. Brooks Koepka seems to step up for this, and he's due in a major because he hasn't played very well in the first 2. So I like that. Russell Henley, I think, has a perfect golf game for this golf course and for a U.S. Open. He's only $6,900 on DraftKings, so he's a great guy to put in your lineup, which allows you to pick some of the guys up near the top of the board. He's plus 8,000 right now to win on DraftKings. I like him in a top 10 at plus 550. Cameron Smith, I love him in a top 20 at plus 150. I think this could be a really good place for him. It's very Australia-esque. With the way that it's like a Royal Melbourne kind of place, and he just excels around and on the greens.
Just added Minwoo Lee to my lineup.
Did you
change? Yeah.
Oh wow. Hideki Matsuyama, I think, has a perfect game for that. When an iron player, this guy can drop him
T8
from the
last
moon.
Week.
Yeah, he can drop it. He can drop an 8-iron from the moon right at the pin.
I don't think I saw one of his shots last week, and he comes in T8.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
very under the radar T8
hangs around at plus 140 for a top 20. David Puig is a guy from the Live Tour, a young Spaniard who's a stud. He's one of the guys that you want to see back on the PGA Tour. Plus 180 for a top 40, and I threw him in my DraftKings lineup. He's down in the 5,000 range, so he's a really good look to be able to put guys up the board in. 2 matchups. Yeah. I like Zalatoris at minus 110 over Cam Young, and I like Henley at minus 120 over Connors. Did you look at the Woods make or miss the cut numbers?
No, what were they?
Oh my. To make the cut, plus 220. It's one of the most popular bets on the board because people, they want to see Tiger make the cut, and it's good value, plus 220.
150, 60. That's a lot of guys that are going to be sent home.
You
right?
think he makes the cut?
Well,
there?
You know what you have to risk to say he misses the cut? Minus 330. So they don't think he's going to make the cut. obviously.
Right.
So everybody's betting, yes, he will, because it's a plus number.
Yeah.
How about that?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we talked about I like Daniel Berger this week in a top 10 at 1,800. Guy loves the Bermuda greens, tight
Yeah.
lies, knows how to play, has some experience. Game is trending up, and there's value. Finau, I feel like he always places in the top 10 in the major,
Mhm.
right? Take him in the top 10 at 450. I'm taking Cam Smith for the win at 5,000. I think he gets it done at ground greens this week. And then kind of what Jason Sobel was saying, right? A guy like Bryson, I'm going to take Oberg minus 120 over Bryson, right? Because
Yeah.
you can't power it out of, what were they, Petunias? I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
I don't
And
know that
then
this is a great golf course for him. To be
no,
honest.
no.
Yeah.
And the other one, you talk about short game wizards, Jason Day, Harry, you talked
Yeah.
about it in a matchup, even money over Ben On. So very curious to see if some of these guys can, you got to be creative. There's going to be such cool like golf shots to watch this week. I can't wait.
Yep.
Great stuff. Thank you to Jason Sobel. Danielle, countdown clock is on. Hope to
Final
see you
countdown.
next week, but we will see.
Yeah.
And
So what do we got? Yeah. And then another week from now, we'll see. Maybe, maybe
Yeah.
not.
all right, send us a note on X. Give us the date and the weight, and we'll send you a prize. All right, let's get it going. Let's get it
Awesome.
going. Be back next week to recap it all.